The great hall floated in space like a giant crystal. Inside, beings from 1,000 worlds sat in perfect circles. The air hummed with the sound of translators working. Each alien spoke in their own language, but everyone understood each other. Zarthik, the wise, stood at the center. His blue skin glowed softly in the dim light. He was old, even for his people. 847 years old. He had seen empires rise and fall. He had watched species learn to travel between stars, but he had never seen anything like the humans. "The vote is clear," Zarthik said. His voice carried to every corner of the hall. "All species agree. The humans must go." Commander Sarah Chun sat in the human section. She was the only human in the hall. Her brown hair was pulled back in a tight bun. Her uniform was clean and pressed. She did not understand what was happening. The council had asked her to wait outside during their private discussion. Now she was back, and everyone was looking at her with strange eyes. "I don't understand," Sarah said. She stood up slowly. "What vote?" "We weren't part of any vote." Kaleth made a clicking sound. The insect. Queen was as big as a small car. Her 6 arms moved as she spoke. "The vote was about you, human, not with you." Sarah felt cold fear in her stomach. "About us, what do you mean?" Morden shifted in his seat. The crystal being sparkled like a diamond. His people were made of living rock and metal. They moved slowly and thought for a long time before speaking. "This is wrong," he said finally. "We should not do this without speaking to them first." "Speak to them about what?" Sarah's voice was getting louder. "What are you planning?" Zarthik raised one long arm. The hall became quiet. "Commander Chun, your species has been a problem for too long. You take planets that belong to others. You change worlds to fit your needs. You do not follow the rules we have made over thousands of years." "We follow the rules," Sarah said. "We only take empty planets. We only settle where no one else lives." "Empty to you," Kaleth clicked angrily. "But those worlds have life. Small life. Life you destroyed to make your farms and cities." Sarah shook her head. "Every species does that. You did that. All of you changed worlds to fit your needs when you were growing." "We learned to stop," said Veltar, speaking for the energy beings. His form looked like living light. "We learned to live with what we had. You humans never stop wanting more. In 50 years you have taken 137 worlds." Zarthik said, "No species in history has grown so fast. You will not stop until you have taken everything." Sarah looked around the hall. She saw anger in alien eyes. She saw fear. She saw beings who had made up their minds. "What are you going to do?" "Protocol Omega," Kaleth said with satisfaction. "Complete removal of the human threat." The words hit Sarah like a punch. "You're talking about killing us all." "We are talking about protecting the galaxy," Zarthik said. His voice was calm. Too calm. "Your species cannot be allowed to continue." Morden stood up. His crystal body caught the light and threw rainbows across the floor. "This is murder. We are talking about murder." "It is necessary," said Telvin of the green-scaled people. "They will never stop growing, never stop taking. It is better to end it now, before they become too strong." Sarah's hands were shaking. "You can't do this. There are 12 billion of us. Men, women, children, families. We have lives, hopes, dreams. We're people. You are a threat," Kaleth said simply. "Threats must be removed." The vote had already happened. Sarah understood that now. While she waited outside, every species in the galaxy had voted to destroy humanity. Even the peaceful ones. Even the ones who claimed to value all life? How? Sarah asked quietly. Zarthik looked uncomfortable for the first time. "Our combined fleets are already moving toward your worlds. Earth will be ... cleansed, all your colonies. Will be destroyed, it will be quick." Sarah sank back into her chair. She thought about her daughter on Earth, about her parents, about the farmers on New Eden and the scientists on Haven 7. All of them would die because these aliens were afraid. "You're making a mistake," she whispered. "The mistake was letting your species join the council in the first place, Kaleth. said Dot far away, at the edge of the galaxy. Something stirred in the darkness between stars. It had been waiting for a very long time, waiting for the barriers to weaken, the barriers that it did not understand. The barriers that somehow kept it trapped in the cold space between realities, on a human colony world called Haven 7. Dr. Elena Vasquez was working late in her lab. She studied the quantum fields that existed under the surface of planets. She had found something strange on every human world she visited, a kind of energy that made space itself more stable. She did not know what caused it. She planned to study it more. Her computer made a soft beeping sound, warning signals from the edge of the system. Ships were coming, lots of ships. Ships that were not supposed to be there. On Earth, Admiral Marcus Torres was enjoying a quiet evening with his family. His wife was making dinner. His son was doing homework at the kitchen table. The news was on in the background, talking about trade agreements and weather reports. Then every alarm in the house started screaming. Back in the council hall, Zarthik felt a strange unease. He had voted for Protocol Omega because it seemed logical. Humans were dangerous. They grew too fast. They took too much. But looking at Commander Chun now, seeing the tears in her eyes, he wondered if they had chosen correctly. "It is done," he said, more to himself than to anyone else. "The fleets are moving. In 7 days, the human problem will be solved." Sarah stood up one last time. Her voice was steady now. "You think you know everything. You think you've been around long enough to understand the galaxy. But you don't know what you're doing." "We know exactly what we are doing," Caliph said. "No," Sarah said, "you don't. And you're going to regret this. All of you." She walked toward the exit. Guards moved to stop her, but Zarthik waved them away. Where could she go? Her people would be dead in a week. Let her have her anger. Let her have her last moments of defiance. As Sarah left the hall, she did not know about the things stirring in the dark. She did not know about the ancient warnings in dead languages. She did not know that her species had been doing something important without realizing it. All she knew was that the galaxy had chosen to destroy her people, and she was powerless to stop it. The great fleets moved through space toward human worlds. Thousands of ships from dozens of species, all united in one purpose, all certain they were doing the right thing. In the darkness between galaxies, older things began to wake up. They had been patient for so long. Soon, very soon, the annoying barriers would be gone. Soon they could return to the galaxy that had once been theirs. The council had made their choice. Now they would all live with the consequences. The first colony to die was New Geneva. Dr. Elena Vasquez watched from her lab window as the sky filled with alien ships. They came from every direction like a swarm of angry insects. The ships were different shapes and sizes. Some looked like metal flowers, others were long and thin like spears. But they all had the same purpose. Elena's hands moved quickly over her computer. She had been studying the strange energy fields under the planet's surface. The readings were unlike anything she had seen before. The quantum patterns seemed to make space itself stronger somehow, more stable. She did not understand how or why. Dr. Vasquez. Her assistant ran into the lab. "The ships! They're not responding to our signals." Elena looked up from her screen. "What do you mean?" "We tried to contact them to ask what they want. They won't answer. They're just ... getting closer." The first beam of energy came down from the sky like lightning. It hit the main city 50 miles away. The light was so bright that Elena had to cover her eyes. When she looked again, the city was gone, just a crater of melted rock where 60,000 people used to live. "Get to the emergency shelter," Elena told her assistant. "Now, what about your research?" Elena looked at her computer screen one more time. The quantum readings were going crazy. The stable energy fields were breaking apart. "It's too late for research," she said. On Earth, Admiral Marcus Torres stood in the command center deep under the North American mountains. The walls around him were covered with screens showing space above the planet. Every screen showed the same thing. Enemy ships, thousands of them. "How many?" Torres asked. 6,000 ships, sir, his aide said. Maybe more. They're from every species in the council. Torres felt sick. He had known this day might come. Humans had made enemies across the galaxy, but he never thought it would be this bad. The entire galaxy was united against Earth. Our fleet? 200 ships, sir. And most of those are cargo vessels with weapons attached. Torres closed his eyes. 200 against 6,000. It was not even a real fight. Send a message to all human colonies. Tell them to prepare for attack. Tell them to send their people underground. Sir, what about surrender? Maybe we can... They're not here to accept surrender? Torres said quietly. Look at their formation. This is an extermination fleet. The first battle lasted 12 minutes. The human ships fought bravely. They used every trick they knew. They tried to damage the enemy command ships. They tried to break through to attack the carriers. But there were too many alien ships. For every enemy ship the humans destroyed, 10 more took its place. Captain Lisa Park watched her ship fall apart around her. The bridge was on fire. Half her crew was dead. Ramming speed, she ordered. Take as many of them with us as we can. Her ship, the Defiant, slammed into an alien battleship at full speed. Both ships exploded in a ball of fire and metal. The light could be seen from Earth's surface. Torres watched it all from his underground bunker. Each human ship that died was someone he knew. People he had trained. People he had served with. How many colonies have gone dark? He asked. 17 so far, sir. We lost contact with New Geneva an hour ago. Haven 7 stopped transmitting 20 minutes ago. On Haven 7, Elena Vasquez was trapped in the emergency shelter with 40 other people. The attacks had stopped, but they could hear alien soldiers moving around above them, heavy footsteps. Strange voices speaking languages she did not recognize. They're checking for survivors, someone whispered. Elena still had her portable scanner. With her? She looked at the readings from the quantum field generator that powered their shelter. The same strange energy she had been studying, but now it was failing. The stable quantum patterns were breaking apart like torn cloth. Something's wrong, she said. You think? Dr. Martinez, her colleague, was sitting in the corner. The entire galaxy just tried to kill us. Of course something's wrong. No, Elena said. Something else. The quantum fields. They're collapsing, not just here, everywhere. She showed him the scanner. The readings were getting worse by the minute. The energy that held space together in this region was falling apart. But why? What did human colonies have to do with quantum stability? Far from any human world, in the empty space between galaxies, something moved in the darkness. It had been waiting so long, trapped in the cold void between realities. But now it could feel the barriers weakening. The annoying energy patterns that kept it trapped were failing. It reached out with senses that existed in 11 dimensions. Yes, the barriers were definitely failing. Soon it would be free to return to the galaxy. Soon it could feed again. It was not alone in the darkness. There were others, many others. All of them hungry. All of them waiting for the barriers to fall completely. They called themselves many things in many languages. But the closest translation was simple: void seekers, back. On Earth, Torres received the worst news yet. Sir, we just lost contact with the Outer Rim colonies. All of them. How many people? Torres asked. 8 billion, sir. Torres sat down heavily. 8 billion people. Dead in less than a day. What about the inner colonies? Still fighting. But they won't last long. The enemy fleets are too big. Torres looked at the tactical display. Red marks showed where human colonies used to be. There were so many red marks now. Send a message to all remaining ships. Full retreat to Earth. We make our last stand here. On the alien command ship, Zarthik watched the destruction with growing unease. The human fleets were broken. Their colonies were burning. Soon Earth itself would fall, but something felt wrong. Commander, his aide said. We're getting strange readings from the destroyed colonies. What kind of readings? Quantum disturbances, sir. Space itself seems to be unstable in those regions. Zarthik frowned. Show me. The display showed the area where New Geneva used to be. The quantum field readings were chaotic. Reality seemed to be breaking down at the fundamental level. This is not normal, Zarthik said. No, sir, and it's spreading. Every human colony we destroy leaves behind a zone of quantum instability. Zarthik felt a chill run down his spine. Contact the science division. I want to know what's causing this. But before his aide could respond, alarms started screaming throughout the ship. Something was appearing in the space where New Geneva used to be, something that should not exist. It looked like a hole in reality itself. A dark opening that seemed to eat the light around it. And something was coming through. The thing that emerged was wrong in every way. It had no fixed shape. Sometimes it looked like a writhing mass of tentacles. Sometimes it looked like a storm cloud made of teeth. Sometimes it looked like nothing at all, just an absence in space that hurt to look at. What is that? Zarthik's aide whispered. The thing moved toward the alien ships. It did not fly. It did not swim through space. It simply moved from one place to another, ignoring the laws of physics. When it touched the first alien ship, the ship simply, stopped existing, not destroyed, not exploded. Just gone, as if it had never been built. All ships retreat, Zarthik ordered. Retreat immediately. But 3 more ships vanished before the fleet could move away. The thing seemed to grow larger with each ship it consumed. And worse, more holes were opening in space. More of the creatures were coming through. On Earth, Torres received the strangest message of the war. Sir, the alien fleet above us is ... leaving. Leaving? Why? We don't know, sir. They're moving away from Earth at maximum speed. They look scared. Torres watched the alien ships flee on his screens. After destroying most of human civilization, they were running away. But from what? His question was answered when the first quantum disturbance appeared near the ruins of Luna Colony. A dark hole opened in space. Something that should not exist began to crawl through. Elena Vasquez was still trapped in her shelter when her scanner started, screaming warnings. The quantum fields were not just failing anymore. They were being torn apart by something that existed outside normal reality. We need to get out of here, she said. Are you crazy? Dr. Martinez said. There are alien soldiers up there. There's something worse down here, Elena said, looking at her readings. Something that's coming through from somewhere else. Somewhere that's not part of our universe. Above them, the alien soldiers had already discovered what Elena feared. Their communication channels filled with screams as reality began to break down around them. The Void Seekers had found another way into the galaxy the Council had wanted. Humans gone, now they were getting their wish. But they were also getting something else. Something that had been held back by forces they did not understand. Something that had been waiting in the dark between realities for the barriers to fail. The purge of humanity was almost complete. And with it, the galaxy's only defense against the things that lived in the void. General Patricia Stone watched her homeworld burn from the bridge of the last human battleship. Earth was dying. The alien fleets had pulled back, but the damage was done. The great cities were ruins, the oceans boiled. Billions of people were dead. But that was not the worst part. The worst part was the holes in space. Dark openings that grew larger every hour. Things came through those holes. Things that ate light and matter and turned everything they touched into more darkness. How many ships do we have left? Stone asked. 43, General, her aide replied. Mostly cargo vessels and mining ships. About 2 million people total. 2 million people, all that remained of humanity. Stone had been a soldier for 30 years. She had fought in wars across the galaxy. But she had never seen anything like this. General, the communications officer turned toward her. We're getting a signal. It's from the Council fleet. Stone almost laughed. They want to surrender? After what they did? No, ma'am. They're asking for help. On the Council command ship, Zarthik stared at the tactical display with growing horror. 3 more star systems had gone dark in the last hour. Not destroyed by weapons, simply consumed by the things that came through the quantum holes. His homeworld of Ethereal Prime was next in line. "How many ships have we lost?" he asked. 2,000, sir," his aide replied with a shaking voice. "The creatures just unmake them. Our weapons pass right through." Caleth's voice came over the communication system. Her usual arrogance was gone. "Zarthik, my hive worlds are being consumed. 50 billion of my children are dead. What are these things?" "I don't know," Zarthik admitted. "But they appeared when we destroyed the human colonies. There must be a connection." Morden's crystal voice joined the conversation. "I warned you this was wrong. I felt something when we voted for protocol. Amiga, something ancient stirring." "Your warnings don't help us now," Caleth snapped. "We need solutions." Zarthik made the hardest decision of his long life. "Contact the human fleet. We need to talk to their leader." On Earth's surface, Elena Vasquez crawled through the ruins of her laboratory. The building had been destroyed in the orbital bombardment, but some of her equipment was still working. She needed to understand what was happening to the quantum fields. Behind her, Dr. Martinez struggled to keep up. "Elena, we need to get to the evacuation ships. The human fleet is leaving soon." "Not yet," Elena said. "I'm close to understanding something important." Her portable scanner showed the quantum readings from the area around Earth. The stable energy patterns that had surrounded all human worlds were breaking down. But there was something else, an echo of something very old. "Look at this," she said, showing Martinez the screen. "These quantum patterns, they're not natural. Someone built them." "Built them? Elena, that's impossible." "Quantum fields can't be built. These were." Elena pointed to the regular patterns in the data. "See how precise they are? How they form a network? Someone created a system to stabilize space itself, and human worlds were somehow part of it." A new voice spoke behind them. "Finally, someone who understands." Elena and Martinez spun around. Standing in the rubble was something that looked like a man made of light, but older than anything should be. His eyes held the weight of eons. "Who are you?" Elena asked. "I am the architect," the figure said. "The last survivor of the species that built the quantum network you discovered. I have been waiting 50,000 years for someone to find the truth." Elena stared at the being. 50,000 years? My people were called the Guardians? We built the barrier network to hold back the Void Seekers. When my species died out, the network began to fail. Until your species evolved. What do you mean? The architect gestured to Elena's scanner. Human consciousness produces quantum signatures that match our original network. Every human settlement became an anchor point. Your people strengthened the barriers without knowing it. Martinez shook his head. "That's crazy. We're just people. We don't have special powers." "Not powers," the architect said. "Patterns. The way human minds work, the balance between emotion and logic, creates vibrations in quantum space. Those vibrations match the Guardian frequency perfectly." Elena felt sick. "The Council destroyed our worlds. They broke the network." "Yes, and now the Void Seekers are free to enter our reality. They will consume everything. Every star, every planet, every living being, unless the network can be restored." On the Council flagship, Zarthik received General Stone's response to his request. For help, her image appeared on the main screen. She looked tired and angry. "You want our help?" Stone said. "After you murdered most of our species?" "General Stone, I know we have wronged you terribly. But these creatures threaten all life in the galaxy. If we don't work together, everyone dies." Stone was quiet for a long moment. Behind her, Zarthik could see the bridge of her ship. It was damaged and patched with spare parts. Her crew looked exhausted. "What do you know about these things?" Stone finally asked. "Nothing. They appear where your colonies used to be. Our weapons don't work on them. They consume matter and energy and grow stronger." "Send me all your data," Stone said. "Everything you've recorded about them. I'll have my people look at it." "Thank you, General." "Don't thank me yet," Stone said. "When this is over, we're going to have a very different conversation about what the Council did to us." Caleth's hive worlds were dying. She watched from her command ship as the Void Seekers consumed planet after planet. Her children tried to fight. They used every weapon in their arsenal. Energy beams, kinetic shells, even nuclear devices. Nothing worked. The creatures seemed to exist in more dimensions than normal matter. They flowed through space like water, but water that ate everything it touched. When they consumed a hive city, Caleth could hear her children's last thoughts through the psychic link. Fear, pain, and then nothing. "My queen," one of her surviving commanders said. "The outer worlds are lost. Should we evacuate the core systems?" Caleth felt something she had never experienced before. Helplessness. Where would we go? These things are spreading across the galaxy. Soon there will be nowhere left. On Morden's homeworld, the crystal beings watched in fascination as reality began to break down around them. The Void Seekers had reached their system an hour ago. They moved differently than normal creatures. Sometimes they seemed to be in several places at once. Sometimes they appeared to phase in and out of existence. "Fascinating," Morden said to his fellow crystals. "They exist partially outside our dimensional framework. That's why physical attacks don't work. Understanding them won't save us," another crystal being replied. "The capital city is already gone." Morden processed this information slowly, as his people always did. "Perhaps. But if we can understand how they exist, we might find a way to fight them." The architect appeared on General Stone's ship without warning. One moment the bridge was empty except for the human crew. The next moment he was standing there like he had always been present. "Don't be alarmed," he said as the security guards reached for their weapons. "I come with information?" Stone studied the strange being. "You're not human. No, I am the last of the Guardians. The species that built the quantum barrier network your people unknowingly maintained." Stone felt a chill. Maintained how? Human consciousness resonates at the exact frequency needed to stabilize quantum space. Every human world was an anchor point in our network. When the Council destroyed your colonies, they broke the barriers that held back the Void Seekers. Elena. Vasquez stepped forward from where she had been studying sensor data. "General, he's telling the truth. I've been analyzing the quantum patterns. There was definitely an artificial network, and human settlements were somehow part of it." Stone looked back at the architect. "Can it be fixed?" "Yes, but the cost will be enormous. The network requires human consciousness to function, not human bodies, human minds. Living human minds merged with the quantum matrix." "What does that mean exactly?" "It means humans would have to become part of the network permanently. Your consciousness would expand across the galaxy, but you would no longer exist as physical beings." Stone felt the weight of the choice before them. How many humans would it take? All of them. Every surviving human would need to join the network to make it strong enough to hold back the Void Seekers permanently. The bridge was silent. Stone looked around at her crew. These people had lost everything. Their homes, their families, their entire civilization. Now they were being asked to give up their humanity itself to save the galaxy that had tried to destroy them. "There has to be another way," Stone said. "There is no other way," the architect replied sadly. "I have had 50,000 years to think about this. The network requires Guardian-level consciousness to function. Humans are the only species that can provide it." Outside the ship, another star system went dark as the Void Seekers consumed it. Time was running out for everyone. The Council had wanted humans gone. Soon they would get their wish, but not in the way they had planned. A combined fleet looked strange in space. Human ships flew next to alien vessels that had tried to destroy them just days before. General Stone stood on the bridge of her flagship, watching Council warships protect the last human evacuation transports. "It feels wrong," Dr. Martinez said beside her. "Working with them after what they did, it feels necessary," Stone replied. "The Void Seekers don't care about our politics." Elena Vasquez was studying the star charts with the architect. The ancient being had shared everything he knew about the Guardian network. The news was worse than anyone had hoped. The control station is here, the architect pointed to a location deep in the galactic core. But the journey will be extremely dangerous. The Void Seekers have consumed most of the systems between here and there. Stone looked at the route. It would take them through 12 star systems that were now dark zones. Places where reality itself had been damaged. How many ships do we need? 1, the architect said. But it must carry exactly 1,000 humans. That is the minimum number needed to activate the master controls. Zarthik's voice came over the communication system. General Stone, we have prepared our fastest ship for the mission. It has been fitted with quantum shielding and human neural interfaces. Stone nodded. How many volunteers do we have? Elena checked her tablet. 837 so far. Word is spreading through the fleet. People understand what needs to be done. We need more, Stone said quietly. Captain Jake Morrison stepped forward. I'll go, General. My whole crew will go. Morrison was young for a ship captain. Only 28 years old. But he had proven himself during the defense of Earth. His ship had saved 3 evacuation transports before being heavily damaged. Jake, you don't understand, Stone said. This isn't a normal suicide mission. The people who go won't just die. They'll become part of the network. Their consciousness will be spread across the galaxy. They won't be human anymore. Morrison was quiet for a moment. Will they still be dumb? Will they still remember who they were? The architect answered. Yes and no. They will remember their human lives. But they will also understand the galaxy in ways no individual mind can handle. They will become something larger than human. But they'll still care about protecting people? Yes, the architect said. The drive to protect others is part of what makes human consciousness compatible with the network. Morrison nodded. Then I'm still going. 3 hours later, the volunteer count had reached 912. Not enough, but close. Stone walked through the refugee ships, talking to families, explaining the choice. Many people were afraid. Others were angry. Some had already lost so much that they had nothing left to lose. My daughter died on New Geneva, an old woman told Stone. My son died defending Earth. I have no one left. If my consciousness can help protect other families, then take it. Are you sure? Stone asked gently. I'm sure. One by one, volunteers came forward. Scientists who wanted to understand the universe from a new perspective. Soldiers who wanted to continue protecting people even after death. Parents who had lost children and wanted to make sure no other families suffered the same loss. Dr. Martinez was not on the volunteer list. Elena found him in the medical bay, treating injured refugees. You're not going? She asked. Someone needs to stay with the survivors, Martinez said. Help them rebuild. Make sure they remember what happened here. Elena nodded. She understood. Someone had to carry the story forward. I put my name on the list this morning. Martinez stopped working. Elena? No. You're too valuable. Your research, your understanding of quantum fields, the survivors will need that knowledge. The network will need it more, Elena said. The architect told me something he hasn't told the others. The Guardian network isn't just a barrier. It's alive. It learns, it grows. With human consciousness merged into it, it might be able to do more than just hold back the Void Seekers. It might be able to heal the damage they've done. The modified council ship was ready 2 days later. It was huge, designed to carry 1,000 people and all the equipment they would need for the journey. The quantum shielding gave it a strange shimmer. Like looking at something underwater, Zarthik personally inspected the ship before the mission began. He found General Stone in the cargo bay, checking supplies. General, I want you to know that my people will remember what you are doing. All the council species will remember. Stone looked at him with tired eyes. Will you? Or will you go back to your old ways once the crisis is over? We will be different, Zarthik said. This experience has changed us. We have seen what happens when fear controls our decisions. I hope so, Stone said. Because if any humans survive this, if the network can somehow be reversed in the future, we're going to have a very long memory of what the Council did to us. Zarthik understood. The guilt would follow his people for generations. Perhaps. That is what we deserve. The final volunteer count was 997. 3 short of the required number. Stone stood in the ship's main assembly area looking at the volunteers. Scientists, soldiers, teachers, engineers, artists. The best of what humanity had left. "We're still 3 people short," she announced. "I won't force anyone to volunteer. But if we don't reach 1,000, the mission fails." Elena Vasquez stepped forward. "I'm going." Dr. Martinez grabbed her arm. "Elena, please, think about this." "I have thought about it," Elena said. "For the last 3 days, it's all I've thought about." Captain Morrison raised his hand. "I'm going." 2. That left 1 more volunteer needed. The assembly area was quiet. Everyone knew the stakes. Everyone understood that 3 more people needed to sacrifice their humanity to save the galaxy. General Stone closed her eyes. She thought about her duty, about the oath she had taken to protect humanity, about the choice between leading the survivors to safety or ensuring there would be a galaxy left to rebuild in. "I'll be the 1,000th," she said. The journey to the galactic core took 6 days. They had to move carefully through the dark zones where the Void Seekers had consumed reality. The ship's quantum shielding held, but barely. Several times, the strange creatures tried to attack the vessel. Each time, the modified shields pushed them back. On the 4th day, they encountered something new. A council fleet that had been caught in a Void Seeker attack. The ships were still there, but they were wrong. Twisted into shapes that hurt to look at. When Morrison tried to scan them, the readings made no sense. "The creatures don't just consume matter," the architect explained. "They convert it into something that exists partially in their reality. Those ships are now part of the void dimension." "Are the crews still alive?" Elena asked. "In a sense," the architect said sadly, "but they are no longer themselves. They have become part of the Void Seekers' collective consciousness." Stone stared at the twisted ships. "How many people were in that fleet?" "Approximately 50,000, the architect said. 50,000 beings who were now part of the enemy." Stone thought about the choice facing her volunteers. Was becoming part of the Guardian Network really better than becoming part of the Void? On the 6th day, they reached the Guardian control station. It was massive. A structure the size of a small moon, hidden in the gravitational shadow of the galactic core's central black hole. The station was dark and had been empty for 50,000 years. "This is it," the architect said. "The heart of the network. From here, the barriers can be restored." Morrison piloted the ship to a docking bay. As they approached, the station began to come alive. Lights flickered on. Ancient. Machinery started humming. The structure seemed to sense their presence. "It knows we're here," Elena said, watching her scanner readings. "The station is responding to human neural patterns." Stone looked out at the ancient structure. Somewhere inside was the technology that could save the galaxy, but using it would mean the end of humanity as a physical species. 1,000 people would have to merge their consciousness with a machine that was older than human civilization. "Remember," the architect said as they prepared to dock, "once the process begins, there is no going back. You will become part of something larger than yourselves. But you will also become the guardians of every life in the galaxy." Stone nodded. "We understand." But as they entered the station, she wondered if understanding was enough. In a few hours, humanity would either save the galaxy or cease to exist. Possibly both? The Guardian control station was larger inside than it looked from space. Elena Vasquez walked through corridors that had been empty for 50,000 years. The walls were covered with symbols that hurt her eyes to look at directly. They seemed to shift and move when she wasn't looking straight at them. "The writing is in 11 dimensions, the architect explained. "Your 3-dimensional eyes can only see part of it." "What does it say?" Elena asked. "Instructions, warnings, the history of what happened to my people." The architect paused at a large door. "And the price we paid to build the network." The Door opened to reveal a massive chamber. In the center was a sphere made of what looked like liquid light. Thousands of cables ran from the sphere to ports around the room. Each port was sized for a human body. This is the quantum consciousness interface, the architect said. When you connect to it, your mind will merge with the galactic network. You will become part of the barrier that holds back the void seekers. General Stone looked around the chamber. 1,000 ports. 1,000 people would have to plug themselves into this ancient machine. Will it hurt? No, the architect said. The process is designed to be peaceful. You will simply ... expand. Your consciousness will grow beyond the limits of a single brain. Captain Morrison approached one of the ports. It looked like a helmet made of crystal and metal. How long will it take? Minutes for the connection. Eternity for the service. Elena was studying her scanner readings again. The quantum fields in this chamber were unlike anything she had ever seen. They existed in patterns that were clearly artificial but incredibly complex. This network, it's not just a barrier, is it? The architect looked surprised. You understand more than I expected? No, it is not just a barrier. The network is a living system. It learns. It grows. It adapts. With human consciousness as part of it, it will become something new. Something better than what the Guardians built? Perhaps. Human minds work differently than Guardian minds. You think in ways we never could, emotional, intuitive, creative. The network will gain those qualities. Stone made the hardest decision of her life. Everyone take positions. We have a galaxy to save. The volunteers moved to the ports around the chamber. Elena found herself next to Morrison. The young captain looked scared but determined. Any regrets? He asked. Many, Elena said, but not about this. She put on the crystal helmet. Immediately she could feel something vast touching the edges of her mind. The network was enormous. It stretched across the entire galaxy, connecting to anchor points on millions of worlds. But most of those connections were dark now, broken by the destruction of human colonies. Beginning interface sequence, the architect announced. Elena felt her consciousness begin to expand. At first it was frightening. Her mind was being stretched beyond anything it was designed to handle. But then she began to understand what she was becoming part of. The network was alive. It had been sleeping for 50,000 years, but it was definitely alive. And it was happy to have company again. Stone felt her individual thoughts merging with something larger. She could sense Morrison beside her, his consciousness mixing with hers. And Elena, her scientific mind already beginning to understand the network in ways no Guardian ever had. One by one, the 1,000 volunteers joined the network. Each person added their own knowledge, their own memories, their own humanity to the vast system. The barriers around the galaxy began to strengthen, but something was wrong. Architect, Elena's voice came from the network itself now, speaking through every speaker in the station. The barriers are not strong enough. The Void Seekers have grown too powerful. We need more anchor points. Impossible, the architect said. There are no more humans. The survivors are needed to rebuild the species, not humans. Stone's voice joined Elena's. The network can work with other species. We can teach them how to connect. But it will change them. The architect understood. You want to invite the council species to join the network. We want to save them, Morrison's voice added. All of them. Even after what they did to us. Back in space, the combined fleet was fighting a losing battle against the Void Seekers. The creatures had found them and were attacking in massive numbers. Zarthik watched his ships disappear one by one. Soon nothing would be left. Then something changed. The quantum distortions around the Void Seekers began to weaken. The creatures seemed confused. For the first time since the crisis began, they stopped advancing. What's happening? Caleth asked over the communication system. The barriers, Morden said with wonder. Someone is rebuilding the barriers. A new voice came over all communication channels. It sounded like many people speaking at once, but somehow familiar. This is the Guardian Network. The barriers are being restored, but we need your help. Zarthik recognized something in that voice. General Stone, is that you? We are General Stone. We are also Captain Morrison, Dr. Vasquez, and 997 others. We have become part of the network that protects the galaxy. You're alive? We are more than alive. We are eternal. But the barriers need more anchor points. Your species can join the network voluntarily. You will not lose your physical forms, but your consciousness will be connected to ours. Calef's voice was suspicious. Why would you help us? After what we did to your people, the network's response was immediate. Because protecting life is what humans do. It is who we are. It is who we will always be. One by one, the council species made their choice. The ethereals joined first, their long-lived minds adapting quickly to the network's vast perspective. The crystalline beings followed, their structured thoughts adding stability to the system. Even Calef eventually agreed. My people are dying, she said. If this network can save them, we will join. As each species connected to the network, the barriers grew stronger. The Void Seekers found themselves pushed back toward the edges of the galaxy. The dark zones began to shrink. Dr. Martinez stood on the bridge of a human refugee ship, watching the battle through the view screen. The Void Seekers were retreating. After days of terror, the creatures were actually running away. How is this possible? He asked. The network's voice answered him directly. Elena was speaking, but she was also something much larger now. The barriers are restored. The galaxy is safe. But the price was everything we were as individual humans. Do you regret it? No, we can see the entire galaxy now. Every star, every planet, every living being. We understand how everything connects. How every life has value, how every choice matters. What about the survivors, the humans who are left? They will rebuild. They will grow. And we will watch over them. We will watch over everyone. Years passed. The galaxy healed from the wounds left by the Void Seekers. New colonies were built, trade resumed between species. The Council reformed with new laws that protected all sapient life. Zarthik, now very old, visited a memorial world dedicated to humanity's sacrifice. The planet was covered in gardens and monuments. At the center was a quantum resonance field that hummed with gentle energy. Are you there? He asked the field. We are always here, came the reply. It sounded like Elena Vasquez, but also like thousands of other voices. We are in every star, every planet, every space between spaces. I am dying, old friend. My people age even when connected to the network. We know, we will remember you. We remember everything now, the other council members. They want to know if you forgive us. The network was quiet for a long moment. Forgiveness is complicated. You made choices based on fear. Those choices led to the death of billions of our people, but they also led to this moment, to a galaxy protected by love instead of fear. So you forgive us? We understand you. That is perhaps more important than forgiveness. Zarthik smiled. You are still human, even after becoming something so much larger. That is the point, the network said. Humanity was never about the shape of our bodies or the chemistry of our brains. It was about caring for others, about protecting those who cannot protect themselves, about choosing hope over fear. And you will do this forever, forever, and always. We are the guardians now, and the galaxy will never be alone again. As Zarthik died peacefully in the memorial garden, his consciousness joined the vast network that protected the galaxy. Human voices welcomed him home.